Bradley Walsh's private battle. Donna Derby's tearful plea in the dead of night. It was just after midnight when the rhythm changed. Inside the private wing of the undisclosed clinic, where the Walsh family had tried to maintain an air of quiet hope, the steady, reassuring beeps of the monitor began to falter. At first, the difference was almost imperceptible. A slightly longer pause between tones, a subtle dip in pitch. But in a room where every sound was monitored and every second counted, the change was like a siren in the stillness. A nurse, positioned by the doorway, glanced instinctively at the screen. Her training told her what her eyes had already confirmed. Bradley's vital signs were becoming unstable. Within moments, the lead consultant was at his bedside, issuing calm but urgent instructions. One nurse adjusted the oxygen flow, another checked the IV line, while a third made notes that would later become part of a minute-by-minute log of the night's events. The air in the room thickened. From her chair beside the bed, Donna Derby sat up straighter, her heart pounding. For days she had been here, eating little, sleeping less, but the sudden shift jolted her into an alertness she hadn't felt in hours. "What's happening?" she asked, her voice low but insistent. The doctor, knowing her now as more than the patient's wife, but as a constant presence, met her eyes. "We're just making a few adjustments. His readings have changed. We're on it." But even in the carefully chosen words, Donna heard the weight of the moment. For days she had been the rock. Family members commented on her composure, the way she seemed to draw from an invisible well of strength. She had reassured Barney when his voice cracked on the phone. She had thanked nurses by name, even in the darkest hours. But this, Donna reached for Bradley's hand, her fingers wrapping tightly around his, as though sheer will could keep him tethered here. "You can't let him go," she told the doctor, her voice trembling now. "He's still fighting. I know he is." Those words, raw, desperate, cut through the clinical precision of the room. For a heartbeat, even the medical staff seemed to pause. One nurse, a woman who had worked through countless emergencies, later told a colleague she'd never forget the sound of Donna's voice that night. "It wasn't just fear," she said quietly. "It was love. Fierce, stubborn love." As the medical team worked, Donna's mind flashed back to the life they had built together. She remembered the first time she saw Bradley, not the TV host the nation knew, but the man with a mischievous smile and an infectious laugh that filled the room. She remembered Barney as a toddler, clinging to Bradley's leg in their kitchen. She remembered the holidays, the simple evenings, the private jokes that made them double over in laughter. And she remembered the public moments, too. Bradley presenting the chase, his easy banter masking the hard work behind the scenes. The way he'd glance into the crowd during live shows and find her face instantly, his eyes lighting up. This wasn't just a husband lying in a hospital bed. This was her partner in everything, the man who'd been her anchor and her joy. By 2 a.m., the immediate emergency had eased slightly. The machines steadied, though the numbers on the monitor remained concerning. A nurse suggested Donna step out for a moment while they performed another series of checks. She hesitated, then moved into the corridor, not because she wanted to leave, but because she knew being just a few steps away was better than being told to rest in the lounge down the hall. In the corridor she leaned against the cool wall, closing her eyes for a brief second. A security guard nodded to her respectfully as he passed. A few minutes later, Barney appeared. His face was pale, his eyes wide with worry. He didn't speak first, just hugged his mother tightly.
"They're doing everything they can," Donna said softly, more to reassure him than herself. Inside the room, the lead consultant was already on a secure call with a specialist based overseas. Notes were exchanged, digital scans sent, and by dawn 2 additional consultants had arrived, one a renowned cardiologist, the other an expert in complex respiratory cases. The fact that they had been called in at all was telling. Donna noticed every detail when she returned to the room. The new faces, the extra machines, the quiet urgency. Word had begun to spread beyond the clinic. By mid-morning, a small group of fans had gathered near the front gates, holding cards and flowers. A few members of the press lingered at a respectful distance, their lenses lowered for now. Security had been tightened. Every visitor was checked, every corridor monitored. The Walsh family's privacy was being guarded fiercely, but the growing attention was impossible to ignore. Through it all, Donna remained. She listened as doctors explained possible next steps, some promising, others carrying heavy risks. She asked questions, made notes, and never once looked away from Bradley's face for more than a few moments. Her belief was unshakable. If she was here, he would feel it, and feeling it, he would keep fighting.
The first light of day filtered in through the narrow blinds, though inside the clinic the artificial glow of fluorescent light still dominated. It had been almost 9 hours since the monitors first signaled trouble, and though Bradley's vital signs had stabilized slightly, there was no celebrating. Donna sat in the same chair she had occupied all night, her posture slouched, but her hand still firmly gripping Bradley's. She had been offered tea 3 times and refused 3 times. She didn't want to step away, not even for the few minutes it would take to sip something warm. At one point, a nurse approached quietly. "Mrs. Walsh, can I get you something? Water, maybe?" Donna shook her head. "Just tell me if anything changes." The nurse hesitated, then nodded. Of course. It was an exchange repeated dozens of times that day, medical staff offering care to the carer, only to be gently declined. Mid-morning, something happened that gave Donna the smallest flicker of hope. Bradley's hand twitched, not the kind of involuntary movement caused by medication, but a purposeful squeeze. It was faint, so faint she almost thought she imagined it. "Brad?" she whispered, leaning in so close her hair brushed his cheek. There was no reply, but she could have sworn she felt the pressure again. Tears welled in her eyes. The nurse at the monitor caught her gaze and offered the tiniest of smiles, as if to say, "I saw it too." It wasn't a miracle, not yet, but it was something. By early afternoon, Barney had joined Donna inside the room. He sat on the opposite side of the bed, occasionally glancing at the machines, then back to his father's face. "You've got to wake up, Dad," he said softly, the words thick with emotion. "We've still got things to do, remember?" Donna's heart ached watching her son, a grown man now, but still, in this moment, the little boy who had once run to the front door every evening to greet his dad after work. Barney stayed for hours reading out messages from friends and fans that had been sent privately to the family. Some were funny, little anecdotes about times Bradley had made someone laugh, and some were heartfelt, thanking him for years of joy. Just before dusk, a new figure entered the room, a tall man with silver hair, introduced as Professor Harrington, a renowned specialist flown in from Geneva. He spoke with the medical team in low tones, reviewing charts, scans, and readings. Occasionally, he asked Donna a question. "Has Bradley responded to voice today? Have you noticed any change in his breathing patterns?" Donna answered each one carefully. Finally, Harrington turned to her and said, "I want to try a targeted treatment tonight. It's not without risk, but it may help stabilize him." Donna nodded without hesitation. "Do it." By nightfall, word of Bradley's condition had spread further. Outside the clinic gates, dozens of people now stood quietly, some holding small tea-light candles in glass holders. The flicker of their lights cast a gentle glow that could be seen from the upstairs windows. Donna hadn't been outside to witness it, but Barney had. When he told her, she closed her eyes and took a deep breath. They care for him. They really care. By 10 p.m., the room was cleared except for essential staff. Donna was allowed to stay, but she moved back to the far wall so the team could work freely. Machines were adjusted, new IV lines introduced, and Bradley's position shifted to ease his breathing. Throughout it all, Donna's eyes never left him. Every so often, a nurse would glance her way, silently acknowledging the strain she was under. The procedure lasted just over an hour. When it was done, the lead doctor approached her. He's stable for now. We'll see how he responds over the next few hours. It wasn't the relief she craved, but it was enough to get through the night. At some point after midnight, when the room had fallen quiet except for the steady hum of the equipment, Donna leaned close again. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. You've still got more stories to tell, more laughs to give, and I'll be right beside you when you do. For the first time in hours, she allowed herself to believe he might hear her. The hours that followed were slow and heavy. Donna dozed briefly in the chair, waking at every change in sound or shift in light from the monitors. She counted each steady beep as if it were a promise. When the first pale streaks of dawn broke across the blinds, Bradley's condition remained unchanged, stable but deeply fragile. By now, the story had reached headlines. Morning TV shows mentioned it briefly, careful with their words. Social media was awash with messages of love and hope, many tagged with photos of Bradley laughing, dancing, or pulling faces on the chase. Inside the clinic, Donna remained unaware of the scale of the public reaction. Her focus was only on the man in front of her.